Masters in Parenting, a podcast from Chicago Parent Magazine. I'm your host, Hillary Bird. Hi, we're talking today about how real-time parents are feeding their real-time kids with our parent panel. First, we'll introduce Dr. Kiarra King. She's an OBGYN in Chicagoland and the mom of a 3-year-old.
Hello, thanks for having me.
We love to have people here. And Jenny LeFlore, the mama of Mama Fresh, the mom of a 23-month-old. She lives on the south side of Chicago in historic Bronzeville.
Hey, Mama, hey.
Now, of course, you think you're raising your kids and it's all going along great. And then you've got to start feeding them food. And there are times that is ultimately the most stressful part of the day, is just how are we going to get them to eat well so that they can keep playing. And, they want to rush through it or they want to savor it, or they spend, 2 hours fighting with you. So let's talk about how do you guys as moms, was it easy, was it hard to start your kids on a healthy path of food?
I think that your relationship with food and your kids start from day one. Whether it's formula or breastfeeding, that's first food. That's what I'm use for breastfeeding. But we always talk about that being the first food. So whether it's the up late at night nursing, or the preparing your formula bottles the night before because you have to head to work, that anxiety we have with feeding our children, that innate need as moms that we want to have for our kids, that can start pretty early. Yeah. So let's start some solutions pretty early. Right. Proper planning, and being a great model for your kid too. I always say, Mama, what are you doing? Are you taking care of yourself? So healthy eating starts with healthy foods being in your house.
Now, Dr. King, you are you're a vegetarian, and your daughter's food is very plant-based. Yep. Is that easy? Is that hard? Was it easier because you were already making those choices for yourself?
It was definitely easier because I was already making those choices for myself. And it's funny because just to piggyback on what Jen said, it starts not only when they are born, but for me, I made a conscious decision, although I feel like I eat fairly healthy, when I was pregnant, to put only good stuff in my body. Now, don't get me wrong, I might have had a French fry every now and then, some pizza, but although I really didn't do dairy when I was pregnant, but I tried my best to make sure what I was eating then, so then it was even easier once she was born. But it's pretty easy because I've been vegetarian for so long. That's all I know, and so it's not hard to get plant-based stuff out for her. And I just, like you said, I wanted to model, we get to mold what our children eat. Whether they eat it or not now, maybe one thing, but we get to say, okay, these are what your options are. And so I wanted to make sure from the beginning that I was providing healthy options for her, so that she could at least begin to grow up knowing, okay, these are healthy options, these not so much, these not at all, so that when she's able to make those decisions for herself, she's able to choose healthy options most of the time.
Does she see snacks that, or hot dogs or something like that, and ever say, hey, I want one of those, whether it's, family events, big family, extended family comes over and they're all eating a hot dog or a nugget or something like that, and you're thinking, and does she ever say, hey, what's that I would like?
So we're sometimes out with family, and she'll see other kids eating chicken or something, and she'll say, I like chicken, and I'm like, Kai, you've never had chicken. How do you know if you like chicken or not? And then she doesn't focus on it. It doesn't become, I got to get that chicken. I got to get that on my plate. How do I get to that? I usually just say, well, you don't really eat chicken. And then she goes back to eating whatever she's eating. So it doesn't become all consuming, or doesn't usually become a source of anxiety, like, oh my God, we're going to be someplace where people are eating meat and chicken and she's going to have a problem. It doesn't turn into a problem. She may just see it and kind of seem a little interested, but it doesn't last for too long.
Right.
So, makes it easier on me.
That's good. Now, Jenny is a pescatarian. Could you tell everybody what that means?
So I'm a pescatarian, meaning I eat seafood. So I don't eat pork or beef or chicken. I eat seafood And I'm even becoming so weary of that because I'm like, where is this from? And, I want to know, like, the shrimp's name and, like, the pond it was harvested from and Whole Foods, So even that has become, there's too much information. Even that has made me weary. But as I'm a pescatarian, my husband is a meatitarian. And so my husband is a Chicago guy. He loves Italian beefs and brats and, nachos, watching football games, all those good things. And so it's my son, I don't put dietary restrictions on him right now. It's really on focusing on home cooked, healthy things that we can provide for him. But I also am very learning now, 2 years into the game. I'm being very forgiving to myself and looking at the long game. So if he is watching a sports, or if he's at a sporting event with my husband where there is a family and they're eating nachos, I'm not freaking out. Instead of focusing on him, like, that cheese is not cheese. That is like an orange mixture of some jam. Instead of me focusing on that, I'm focused on looking at this quality time and memory building that we're doing as a family.
Yeah. And you mentioned, when you start out from that first foods, it's so easy, for better or for worse, when you're on a maternity leave, to be like, okay, I'm going to pay attention to what is going into them and what's going into me.
Oh, my word. Aren't we all better parents when we don't have kids? Like, aren't we all we're going to make a list? I had a Pinterest board because I was going to make every little thing. Like, why would I go out and buy that when it's so much easier? I'm going to have all this time off work. I traveled I traveled so much when I was pregnant for work. And I traveled even after I went back. So I had this time. I'm like, I'm going to have 6 weeks, because that was my maternity leave. I have 6 weeks at home. I'm going to be making, I'm going to be doing all this stuff from scratch. That, and then real life hits, and you then decide, okay, what can I really spend my time doing, Right. So that way, that's why I say forgive yourself, allow yourself some space, and have some realistic expectations on what you can do and what you can provide for your kids. And let it be easy. Your life should be easy. Food should not be a sense of anxiety. Food is the thing that brings us all together. Whenever you travel, food is like sitting down and breaking bread with someone.
Right.
That should be so much fun. There should be dinners where you should like catch up and have like jokes and, have all this fun time. It shouldn't be mama scooping out 1/4 and a half a cup of quinoa. You know what I mean? Like, make the food, make it easy, put it on the plate, and get to just spending time together.
It's funny. I always think about that when I'm feeding Kai, because she went through a stage where she would eat everything when she was really, like, when she first started eating, maybe like 9 months, 10 months, she would kind of eat everything. She was super interested. Then she went through a stage where she, like, didn't really want to eat at all. And now she's not a big eater. Like, she doesn't eat huge portions. And I don't freak out about it. I don't say, and when I say huge portions for a kid. She may eat a little tiny bit of rice and a little tiny bit of whatever else we have on the side. As long as she's eating, that's really all that matters to me. And I try not to focus on, oh my God, well, she didn't, like you said, she didn't eat a whole cup of this. I give her what I know she's going to eat. And that's it. And I say, great job, you ate that, because I know that she's just not a big eater. And I think that's so important just to know, as your kids' palates change, as they get older, the dynamic of feeding changes a little bit. And you just have to know, you just got to know your kid and what they will and won't do. I know I can't sit a plate of 20 things on her. She's not going to eat it. I pick things I know that she will eat that are healthy for her, and I try and give her a variety in that, and kind of switch it up a little bit. But I don't get too caught up in, did she eat this much? Did she eat that much? Did she eat? Yes, fantastic. Let's keep it going. And like I said, trying to mix it up throughout the week as I'm preparing things. But did she eat? That's a big one. That's a big one for me, because sometimes that's it can be a little challenging.
So what I do, a tip. So, because that's I'm dealing with a toddler, and his very independent, busy and brilliant, opinionated self. So what I like to buy those little plates that are in little compartments.
Oh.
So it might be like 4 or 5 compartments. Because as an adult, we eat, this is just like a mind shift. We eat on one proper plate, so one round plate, and then we kind of put all of our things all together and have this one proper meal. I like to use this segmented plate for him because it makes me think of, okay, what else can I give him? What else? Because I think of it, I hear a lot of like, there's a lot of bento boxing for lunches.
Yeah.
And of course, like you want to do these I'm not going to make my son sandwich a panda. You know what I mean? Like they do in those videos, which is awesome. I wish I could make like a little cat out of carrots. But what I do love the idea of offering a lot of variety and think of more like grazing. So if I feed him, couscous with spinach mixed in, and then I also do like a little bit of chicken breast. Okay, but I still have 3 compartments where I need to, that's how I'm thinking,
Mm-hmm.
where I need to throw, okay, let me take a block of cheese and I'll throw that in one. I got half of an apple, I'll slice that up, and then there's some blueberries. And then that already, and he will love, because you know what? His tummy is so tiny. So 4 blueberries, a couple apple slices, a little bit of chicken. That is perfectly enough. And he gets to pick and choose. He dips it all in ketchup, and I don't care. And but he gets to have a good time. And so that was like it was a small investment, but it helped me so much with meal planning.
That's genius. And I saw a thing the other day too, and we tried this with our girls, mine are 3 and 1, that somebody mentioned, and I think weirdly it was on Pinterest, to get an ice cube tray.
Mm-hmm.
And so I found a little like rubber ice cube tray, and that's how we compartmentalize, because you do, like you said, you want to keep it small for little kids.
Yeah.
And keep them interested. And they're wildly interested in what's in this one little box and what's in
Yes,
this little box.
Yes, it's so much fun. And we buy the colors, so the plates are up. And they have this one brand where they're made out of like recycled milk jugs.
Ooh.
The cutlery and the plates. Yeah, so we get those, so there are all these fun colors. And again, options and choices. What plate? So now he's involved.
Yes.
So I asked my son, which plate would you like today? Blue one. I'm like, awesome. So we start with the blue one. Already he's having a voice. You know what I mean? This is on a beautiful day. That's when the sun is shining. Like I've done laundry. I've showered and 2 iced coffees in. There's some days where I'm like, take this paper plate again and sit down, let's go. But on those little moments where you can get them involved and get a little choice and make it easy on yourself by just putting a little bit in those, let's do it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, and giving, like you said, giving kids so many different options really, I think, teaches us as parents what they like.
Yes.
And where you can go when you're trying something new. Have you guys found that it's really tough to get your kids to try something new, or do you try to introduce it with something they already like?
It really depends. My daughter's she can be adventurous if she wants. So, if I kind of frame it the right way, like, oh, what is this? Or if I'm even eating it, she automatically wants it. Like if it's on my plate, then she's trying to come and see what it's all about. And I'm like, this is mommy's food. That's another thing that I sometimes do. I'm sure a lot of moms do this. If I know that she's kind of like in a little mood and she's not really wanting to eat, I will literally put way more food on my plate than I would eat, knowing some of it's for her. Because if I put that same food on her plate, she might say, I'm not hungry, I don't want it. But if it's on my plate, then she all of a sudden wants it. So I have my fork, I have her fork or spoon, and then she's constantly coming back. So sometimes if I have a new food, I may do that where I'll taste it and then it's like, this is good. And so then I've got her latched on to trying something new. So that generally works pretty well. She watches Daniel Tiger, and there's some like little song that's like, basically, you got to try it. You never know if you'll like it or something like that. So she actually sings that. It's like, it might taste good. Like you have to try new things because it's something like that. And so she sings that all the time. And I'm like, okay, let's go back to Daniel Tiger's song. Let's see if we're going to try this. So that actually helps her to try a few new things, which is kind of funny. But yeah, so she's usually pretty open to trying new things, which is good.
So my son,
struggle.
my son will try anything once.
Oh, good.
He is like, the
Mikey.
soul of and he's like, but you know what? He'll try any like ethnic food. So he's like a grandma. Like you like any. So if like your grandma, no matter what ethnicity, like if she cooked it, my baby will probably try it. Like he tried like cabbage, like and like corned beef the other day, or he'll try like couscous, like any like soul food, like whatever the soulful food of your. Q will try that. Now my nephew, on the other hand, no thank you. It's yucky. Pizza, please. So we were in a rut, and my sister was trying to figure out what should we do. There are all type of hacks you can do. We used I'll just tell you, we used this product, and it was what it is basically dehydrated vegetables. And it comes in almost like a seasoning shaker. And we would just, so 1 teaspoon was like the vegetable green. So they have a green one and they have a red one. And it's a small business. It's a mom out of California. She travels to farmers markets with us. And so we were sprinkling that on everything.
We were like sauce sprinkle man.
And so we would sprinkle it on quesadillas. We would sprinkle it on anything. They would try just to try to sneak those in. And we just rode that wave out. And then the other day, he's like, I made snacks for the boys. And he was like, okay, I'll try it. And he was just fine.
Yeah.
So everything, you know what, it's
all
parenting.
about convenience.
It's all a phase. Everything.
Yep.
You know what? Your baby's sleeping through the night. Get a trophy. You just wait. Teething's coming. Toddler, nightmares are coming. Something good and bad. It's all a phase.
Oh yeah. Our oldest and youngest are so very different in how they eat. That the oldest refused to eat any meat product for 2 years. For the first, like once we finally got her eating, and she would eat, the pureed meats that you get.
Yeah.
And all the pureed for. She was perfectly fine with that. We think it might have been a texture thing. She just wouldn't.
Definitely the big
Yep.
consistency.
Definitely.
She didn't have the words to say.
Right.
This texture is not pleasing to my palate.
She just refused.
I prefer shredded, not ground, and everything in this house is just ground meat.
Well, and the first time she ate a chicken nugget, we, we're just standing behind her doing the happy dance. So, oh, thank God, because we're mentally thinking, okay, where, besides milk, where else are we going to get our protein? And she was eating and smearing a lot of peanut butter.
Yeah.
In, in places that would require immediate bath afterwards. But you're battling that battle in your head of going, oh my God, and the little one will eat the fork if you told her that that it tasted good.
Yeah.
She'll eat anything.
Yeah.
It's so funny what you just said too, is that as parents we have to remember that every parent is on their own path.
Yeah.
So like I am all like no mom shaming, no judgment.
Yep.
Right.
So you might see a kid eating a chicken nugget and you might go, poor child, that's just a processed meat that they're feeding. And inside that mom is like, we're finally trying something new.
Yes. They're
so
eating.
like you have
It's a
to
win.
you have to just stay on your path and don't judge others like for what they're
Yep,
doing.
that's so true.
So and remember, and also allow that same graciousness to yourself.
Yeah, that's the thing too. Is because like you guys said, as parents, we beat ourselves up
Absolutely
equally as much as
Yeah.
everybody.
Because before they can even get to it, let me just beat myself up. Like before they can shame me out in the streets, let me just talk about it here.
Right. So you feel like, okay, I'm sending my kid to school with apples and cheese.
That I know that's gonna come home and they're gonna have macaroni and cheese.
Right. Yeah, you're crossing your fingers that they'll eat it because you're not in the room to say, hey, let's try it.
Yeah.
Let's try something.
Or the toddler, my son didn't eat an apple the other day. And he loves fruit. Fruit is something I can always bank on him.
Yep.
And I was like, why didn't you eat it? And he told me no one opened it for him. Meaning they didn't take the first bite, because I usually take the first bite.
Oh, no.
He's like, what is
So
this?
he's got it in his head that that's how you're supposed to eat an apple.
He said, no one opened.
Yeah.
They didn't open, Mama. Open. And I'm like,
Right.
and he's like, goes to town. Like, no. But you never know. Sometimes it's like such a small little thing that you just never, and they just don't have the vocabulary to share it with us yet.
Exactly. Well, and as they do and as they get older, I think that's when it's really interesting to see, what kind of choices they make and how you get to start to adjust.
Yes.
And, and add, like you said, more foods with flavors and more foods with, with things that they like. My husband loves to grill, and so we've got all manner of spices around the house. and our 3-year-old opens every spice and licks her finger and sticks it in. And
that is how I taste every spice, every blend, every blend.
This
I
would be
lick
good.
the back
I
of
know.
my
I
hand
taste them
and I
too.
taste it. So she is a girl after my own
Yes.
heart. I adore her.
That's, she'll tell you every single one of them's good, and I'm
Ooh,
like, I think you're gonna find when you get to where some of the stronger ones.
Might be a
She
little too
won't tell
spicy.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah, she won't tell you. Good.
She's just like, not so much.
But think about our culture and like we were talking about with food and family time. When kids ate at the table with families, they ate what was offered on the table.
Yes.
Right.
This is in all other places around the world. They all eat together. You know what I mean? And with if we talk to our grandparents, like before jar of baby food, you ate a mashed up version of pot roast. Like your parents are eating pot roast and they were mashing up the potato that came out the crock pot with a fork, That is, so it's getting in. I am always open to exposing kids to spices and flavors early, because something that may seem exotic to us or a risky thing in another culture, that's just called Tuesday's dinner,
Right.
So I love exposing kids to spices early.
I remember I was giving my daughter something. This was a while ago, kind of when she first started like really eating more table food. I remember somebody saying, "Don't you think that's a little spicy?" And I'm like, well, I ate it. I'm like, and it wasn't anything that had like, tons of cayenne pepper or like something super hot. But it had different spices. It wasn't just salt and pepper. And I said, well, I don't think it's too spicy. I'm like, she's enjoying it and she's not having a problem with it. So I think it's okay. So I agree. I think it's important because I think that even carries out later in life, the stuff that you're willing to try. I look back, I am so appreciative of what my mom did growing up. I mean, we had dinners together and everybody sitting down at the table and my mom made stuff every night. And I look back and I'm like, how did she do it? I'm like, I have one.
There are three of
She had
you
3.
all.
And we were all 22 months apart. And I'm like, I know we drove her crazy, but my mother, and even now, she always had us trying something different. This is the most hilarious story. One day, I don't really like raw onions. One day I hid an onion she was gonna chop it up in this, it was like this casserole thing that she made, and I did not like this casserole thing because it had tomatoes and cauliflower.
Our childhood is like so casserole though. Like our childhood is so casserole. Like,
but she's making this casserole.
Your mom saw it in a magazine and she like ripped out
the pages.
And she like put it on the refrigerator and she was like, I'm making that casserole for my girls.
I hid the onion. And she must have been like, she was being a mama, like, what happens to the onion? Oh, well, I'll just make do without it. I'll just make it without. Like weeks later, I find the onion. It's like sprouting chives. I'm guessing it was sprouting green onions. I'm not really sure. It was either chives or green onions or something sprouting out the top. And I was like, I was like, what is this over here? I said, oh, this is the onion that I hid. But my mother was always making something different flavors, different, like, we were exposed to a lot of a wide variety of foods, and when we were little, it was like, oh, that's gross. I don't want to eat that. And she was also the type of mama that like we didn't get up from the table until we ate our food, and if we didn't, then it was like you just went to bed hungry, and so we would be sitting there just like for an hour, like taking these small bites. So I definitely want to expose Kai without maybe the trauma of us eating, but now I appreciate it because I love trying new things. I love trying different ethnic foods. I love trying different things. I think that helped because I was exposed when I was younger. Even though I didn't really like it when I was younger, but I was exposed versus everything just being very kind of, one note, one hit wonder for foods. Even though I tried to convince my mom to make kind of like the same things like every night. It didn't quite work, but I tried nonetheless. So I think it's super important for us to really try and expose them to a variety, see what they like, and some things they're just not going to like, and you're not going to force it. But I think that's definitely helpful, and I think we would be surprised at some of the things that they actually would like.
I think what's great is you both mentioned this is, even in our childhoods, the amount of family time we spent together around a table and, food being love. And I think we kind of forget that once we become parents.
Yeah.
We look at, we're at that point that we're like, okay, food is nutrient for you to survive. I must give you this. And you're going to eat what I can give you. And I know you're going to eat, and and I will be over here making my thing, and we're going to eat in front of the television. We're going to eat. You forget to eat
the bonding.
The bonding and the love that you get from enjoying a meal together and having that time, and and I think our kids, especially young kids, really get that opportunity to learn about the joy of food, and that they're supposed to enjoy dinner and not inhale it and run away.
Well, our heart is in the right place. I don't know. Sure. Yeah, I don't know a mama that doesn't want everyone to sit around and eat. But when you have pickup at 5:30, if you get off work at 5, you're picking up by 6, you want in the bedtime at 8:30. Those 2.5 hours are the craziest, most manic hours in my life. And my husband works late. He doesn't get home till 7:30. So we're trying to figure out, how do I catch up on their day, emotionally deposit into them, have dinner, do a bath, read a book, say our prayers, prep for tomorrow. And so it's sometimes you feel so stressed out. Right. Just it's the anxiety of that is there. And so it does take a moment to be mindful, take a breath, prepare as much as you can, mama, just to make it easier on yourself. Just either the night before or at the top of the week. Anything you can just to give yourself a head start on that night. And then fix your plate and sit with your child. Even if you can just do that for yourself and for your baby, I think it makes such a huge difference.
Oh yeah, I will admit to eating my fair share of chicken nuggets shaped like dinosaurs, just to be able to sit with them.
Yes, I've seen it where they were we were talking about Pinterest and parenting. Where you have these idealistic things if you're gonna do, but this mom and she says what my child eats, and there's these beautiful, the bell pepper is cut in a flower. The apple is in a star. This and that, and it says what I eat, and it's all the scraps that are left over that were cut out, the vegetables, and it's realistic. It's we eat the rest of that's on their plate, and then also maybe eat once a week. Try to offer just the adult meal to everyone. Just cook one thing for your family.
I have found too, giving the 3-year-old a choice. If you ask her at lunch, what do you want today? And here are 2 options that we have available. Do you want this thing or this thing? She feels she's gonna eat more if you gave her
included.
Yeah, because she feels like she very much had a part of it.
Yeah. And
that she got to decide what we're all eating.
Do you know why Taco Tuesday is so popular? I mean, obviously because margaritas and tacos are delicious. But the other thing is because it takes the no-brainer after cooking. Yeah. Everybody's cooking tacos on Tuesday. So when you drop them off at school, you're like, it's Taco Tuesday. When you pick them up, everyone's excited about it, and you can do variations of it, but we're all kind of on the same board, and so it's such exciting. And so if you knew what you were cooking on Wednesday, when you pick them up, it's like, hey, we're having that thing you love tonight. Don't you know that chicken that I make with the this and the red things? We're having that tonight. It gets them hype and excited. They can pick up off anxiety when you get home and it's like you staring in a freezer, or Lord forbid, mama, you having to do pickup and then going to the grocery store to cook. Child, take it off your plate. Instacart. Whole Foods, Amazon Prime. There is no shame in that. It's $5 delivery of the best $5 you spent all week. Yeah. So just take that. For you to take the anxiety of planning and meal planning out will help you so much.
These have been fantastic tips and are wildly awesome from moms. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you for having us.
Super happy to be here.